Hello, fabulous Taurus. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of December 2015 general focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This month has, at the start of it, for all of us, as we're entering this month, a sense of consequence and a sense of facing what is. A sense of being honest with ourselves. And that honesty is very needed because it is going to be that very honesty that lends itself to a real sense of forward momentum and a real sense of a breakthrough moving us in a very positive direction. And for you, Taurus, this has to do with your finances. So this has to do with your finances in the sense of grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, benefits, tax returns. So it's what astrologers normally call other people's money. This is one very literal way that this energy can play out for you. So I actually think, as I look at this, I think that a lot of Taurians out there are going to be celebrating right around the middle of the month. I think for a lot of Taurians, this is going to represent a turning point where a major loan, maybe you've been paying back your student debt, maybe you've been trying to pay off a credit card. This is going to be that turning point that helps you to feel free, like, okay, that is taken care of, that is done. But it does start with, as I said, that moment of honesty, that moment of having to look at, okay, exactly where are we now? What is really going on here? And then realizing that there are things that you can do to change things around. For others, I think that this is going to be taking ownership for where you are financially and deciding where it is that you want to go, coming up with a smart plan. For some people, that's going to be, going through a debt management program. For other people, though, out there, this is going to be a time when you're looking at possibly taking on debt, starting to reach out to some of these organizations. If you've been one of those people that might have been resisting this, but now is thinking, I think I want to get a house. I think I want to start moving in a more solid direction. This could be a time when you may find yourself a little bit uncertain as the month begins, but once we get to the middle of the month, that possibility of getting not only a really great deal on a mortgage, on a loan, but also if you're doing something else, let's say you're a student, great time to get a grant as well. So it could be at the start of the month, there's some financial questions, issues, concerns, which will give themselves eventually to you realizing that there are sources of funding available to you, and it just kind of showing up for you in the best possible sense. So as solemn as things might feel at the very, very beginning of the month, as you're ending November and entering December, that energy will turn around. You'll start to see how, just as we're entering this month, and by the time we get to the middle of the month, that is when you're really feeling a sense of momentum and feeling a sense of breakthroughs as well. But again, in order to get there, there needs to be a measure of honesty with yourself about where you are. If you're honest about where you are, that is the surest way to come up with a plan that can get you to where it is that you want to go. But you've got to be honest about where you're starting from. What is your starting point? For others of you, I do think that this energy is likely to play out in more personal ways, particularly where it comes to desiring change, wanting to really turn things around. This is about conscious endings. This is about realizing what it is that has run its course, what it is that you're ready to release, to let go of, and how it is that you're going to do that. Ultimately, this is about taking back your power. So wherever it is that maybe you found yourself in some, strange power types of dynamics, this is going to be a time when you say, you know what, I'm going to approach this in a whole other way, and I'm going to turn this around. Now, for some of you, that might actually mean cutting somebody out of your life who represents a lot of drama. But for others of you, it might not be as much as that. It might be putting things into a certain perspective that ends up changing things very dramatically for you. What I do think as I look at this energy as well is that there's a real desire on your part to experience a sense of your own power, and to feel a sense of not only accomplishment, but also a sense of worthiness. So wherever it is that there's been a dynamic that hasn't been affirming that, this can be an important turning point in that relationship as well. And I'm not talking about romance just yet, right? I'm talking about financial agreements and people that you might have financial connections with. But what I also really love about this is that in the seeds of that honesty comes a real sense of moving forward, comes a real excitement and a real desire to create more and create better, create something new, something more fabulous than you've known before, whether that's greater prosperity or whether that has to do with more personal circumstances in how you feel you are actually living your life. If you feel like your life is reflecting something honest or not, this is going to be that proverbial awakening taking place for you also. Keep in mind with this, this part of the sky also has to do with the law of attraction. It has to do with the occult and divination to a certain extent. So it has to do with aligning yourself with an energy that you want to manifest in your life. So if there ever was a time, maybe not at the start of the month, but as we move towards the middle of the month, because at the start of the month, the big lesson is surrender. The big lesson, I think this is part of the human experience, right? There are certain things that we have power over and certain things that we don't. So that's going to be part of the lesson as we're starting this month. But by the time we get to the middle of the month, you are taking your power back and you are feeling a real sense of agency and feeling like some wonderful financial and personal breakthroughs are taking place based on what you are choosing to focus on. As we move towards the later part of the month, there is going to be a full moon happening. This full moon is happening for you in a part of the sky that has to do with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. These are the key people that this area has to do with. And I actually think that some of you out there might be surprised by a phone call you might get, a communication that you might get as well. And I think that if there has been any kind of misunderstanding or someone, maybe you haven't seen them in a while, you've kind of like have some feelings that have been mixed or maybe some memories that were not so positive, this is going to be a time when a real sense of forgiveness can take place. And if you are the one who wants to go to somebody, you will find a supportive atmosphere there for you also. So it's a great time all around as we move into the last week of the month to either allow people to connect with you, be open to those connections, or for you to initiate those contacts as well with people who matter to you, as part of putting the past behind, forgiving what was, and embracing a future that feels free of any kind of hurts or resentments, whether they're yours or someone else's. There's lots of compassion going on at that time. And particularly where it comes to your roots and your past and your family, a lot of us are going to be seeing that a lot more lovingly than we have in a while. What I love about this month for you is that you are in key ways taking your power back. Your financial power, your power to be an agent in your own life, to create meaningful and profound changes in your life, but also your power to forgive, which ultimately allows you to let go of anything getting in the way of your absolute happiness. And I do believe that happiness is one of the greatest powers that we have in the world.